देख रहे हैं कि भारत 70 समाप्त होने के बाद
ये मोदी है, ये नया भारत है, ये नया भारत घर में घुसकर मारता है।
कोई भी टेररिस्ट हमारे पड़ोसी देश से यदि भारत को डिस्टर्ब करने की कोशिश करेगा
जी,
यहां पर यदि आतंकवादी हरकतें करेगा तो उसका मुंह तोड़ जवाब देंगे। यदि वो भगकर पाकिस्तान में जाएगा तो पाकिस्तान में घुस कर
6 महीने से मणिपुर नहीं गए हैं और बात करते हैं, घुस के मारने की बात करते हैं। आज देखिए नक्शा उठा के ईमानदारी से, कहाँ थी 2014 से पहले हिंदुस्तान की लाइन और कहाँ जमीन आज 2024 में आ गई है। सारे सवालों के जवाब आपको मिल जाएंगे।
Good evening, this is Brass Tacks. I'm Zaka Jacob. The Guardian newspaper has reported that India has knocked off at least 20 terrorist operatives who were working on Pakistani soil under the cover and support of the ISI and the military establishment there since 2020. The government of India says none of this is true and that the government is committed to ensuring that there is no violation of any other nation's territorial integrity or sovereignty. Pretty much similar to what the government of India said, the MEA said in the aftermath of the killing of Hardeep Nijjar, as well as, of course, the alleged attempted assassination on the Gurpant Singh Pannu. Now, yet, the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh today made it clear that if there's any truth to this Guardian report, then it's evident that the Modi Sarkar is not hesitant to, as he put it, ghar mein ghus kar marne ke liye. This was a theme that we heard during the 2019 Balakot strikes as well. Is this going to be a new template in dealing with an adversarial neighbor like Pakistan?
कल ही जो है गार्डियन, फॉरेन पब्लिकेशन है गार्डियन, उसमें एक आर्टिकल आया है। उसमें कहा है, उस आर्टिकल ने कहा है कि जो है भारत ने पाकिस्तान की धरती में 20 लोगों को, 20 इंडिविजुअल्स को, टेररिस्ट को जो है पिछले कुछ सालों में मारा है, उन्हीं की धरती में जाके मारा है। और जो है इस पर तमाम क्या कहते हैं, उन्होंने बहुत रिसर्च की है, बहुत लोगों से बात की है। ये पहले हम लोगों के बारे में कनाडा में भी बोला गया, यूएस में भी ये चर्चा हुई पहले, पर पाकिस्तान की ये नई चर्चा है, 20 लोग। तो इसको आप कैसे देखते हैं कि ये क्या, उस आर्टिकल में ये भी कहा है कि जो है भारत जो है केजीबी और मुसाद से जो है काफ़ी इन्फ्लुएंस्ड है, तो उनकी भी जो इंटेलिजेंस एजेंसी है, रॉ वगैरह, इस तरीके का काम कर रही है। कोई स्लीपर सेल है यूएई में, उसने जो है इसमें उसका रोल रहा है। और 20 लोगों को, मतलब एक आध लोग नहीं, 20 टेररिस्ट को जो है हमने कुछ सालों में मारा है।
20 टेररिस्ट को मारा है?
हाँ जी, मतलब टेररिस्ट कह लीजिए, लोगों कह लीजिए, पर वहाँ उनकी धरती में मारा है।
कोई भी टेररिस्ट हमारे पड़ोसी देश से यदि भारत को डिस्टर्ब करने की कोशिश करेगा
जी,
यहां पर यदि आतंकवादी हरकतें करेगा तो उसका मुंह तोड़ जवाब देंगे। यदि वो भगकर पाकिस्तान में जाएगा तो पाकिस्तान में घुस कर मारेंगे।
तो ये बात आप मतलब कह रहे हैं, जो प्रधानमंत्री भी कह रहे हैं कि अब वो भारत नहीं रहा जो कि बगल में खड़े होकर तमाशा देखता रहेगा, घर में घुस कर मारेगा।
बिल्कुल, प्रधानमंत्री जी ने जो कहा है बिल्कुल सच कहा है और यह ताकत है भारत की, और पाकिस्तान भी इसे समझने लगा है। वैसे भारत बराबर अपने पड़ोसी देशों के साथ अच्छे रिश्ते बनाकर रखना चाहता है, चाहे कोई भी हमारा पड़ोसी देश है। और आज देखा होगा आपने, पास्ट हिस्ट्री उठाकर देखिए कि आज तक न तो हमने दुनिया के किसी देश पर कभी आक्रमण किया है अथवा आक्रमण की कोई पहल की हो, कभी नहीं किया, और न तो दुनिया के किसी देश की 1 इंच जमीन पर हम लोगों ने कभी कब्जा करने की कोशिश की है। यह भारत का चरित्र रहा है
जी।
लेकिन भारत को बार बार कोई आंख दिखाएगा, भारत में आकर आतंकवादी गतिविधियों को बढ़ावा कर देने की कोशिश करेगा तो उसकी खैर नहीं है।
So let's take a look at some of the key takeaways from that Guardian report, which claims that India has been engaged in covert anti-terror operations inside Pakistan as well as in other Western countries since the Pulwama attack of 2019. It says that the Indian government ordered the killings of terrorists inside Pakistan. It says that at least 20 Pakistan-based terrorists have been killed in the last 5 years. The assassinations of nearly 20 top terrorists since 2019, since February of 2019 when the Pulwama attacks happened. Targeted killings have increased significantly in the year 2023, India's wider anti-terror strategy since Pulwama, the targets were also charged with violent terror offences. That locals were employed. In the case of Pakistan, Pakistani locals were employed in many cases to carry out these murders. The documents also show that RAW was directly involved in these killings and that Khalistan group members were targeted both within Pakistan as well as in Western countries. That these killings were orchestrated by Indian intelligence sleeper cells. Indian intel sleeper cells were primarily operating out of the UAE. This is the report by The Guardian. The MEA, of course, has denied any such role, but the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has said this is evidence of ghar mein ghus kar marenge. This is something that the Prime Minister has also been saying in the campaign trail. It was similar to what was said in the aftermath of the Balakot strikes back in 2019. Will this again be a calling card politically for the BJP ahead of the 2024 election? We'll be joined in a moment by Shahzad Punawala of the BJP. Supras Lies is national spokesperson of the Congress Party. She's now joining us. Lieutenant General retired Sanjay Kulkarni, former DG Infantry, and Brahma Chalani, strategic affairs expert, joining us. Supras Lies, what is the Congress Party's problem or issue with the fact that the Prime Minister, the Defence Minister, they're all saying that if there were to be Pakistan or any other country to back terrorists to attack India, then unke ghar mein ghus kar marenge? Why is that a problem for the Congress Party?
Who says there's a problem? Absolutely not. You forget our history. We don't talk empty talk. We walk the talk. We divided Pakistan into two and we shifted the geographic of this region. We changed the geography of the world. When Mrs. Indira Gandhi looked in the eyes of the superpowers despite their resistance, split Pakistan into two and Bangladesh was born. What are you talking about? Why would we have an objection? We want the government of India to also talk about China. Look at Ladakh. There was supposed to be a big protest there tomorrow. Internet has been suspended. Section 144 has been imposed. Ladakh is out on the streets. And what are they demanding? They're demanding two things, which is one, inclusion under 6th schedule of the Constitution, and the other, to teach China a lesson. They have proof, and people there have been on fast to say that China has entered our territory, has occupied almost 4,000 square kilometers of our territory. The grazers cannot go up until the point that they could earlier, the shepherds. The government of India is absolutely quiet on that. And one last point I want to make. The Minister of External Affairs, and quite shamelessly if I may, turns around and first says that we are a smaller economy, China is a bigger economy, and his latest statement, how does it matter if China changes names of places in Arunachal Pradesh? Oh yes, it does, because people in my country have given up their lives to save the territorial integrity of this country.
Okay.
Soldiers in Siachen and the deserts of Rajasthan give up their lives. So it's very fashionable for this government to sit there and give statements to Network 18. They need to walk the talk, and the Congress has done it.
Shahzad
So our track record is absolutely safe as far as Pakistan
the contention that's being made by the Congress spokesperson is Pakistan में तो घर में घुसकर मारेंगे, लेकिन चाइना के घर में घुसकर मारेंगे.
You know, it's quite ridiculous that a person who hasn't been able to figure out who used her account from 25th of March to 5th of April, and she claims that it was used to post that post on Kangana Ranaut, is coming here and lecturing me about what's happening at the fingers, is coming here and telling us. I guess, yes, the MEA's response is shameless. Perhaps what he could have done is learned from Nehruji and handed over the UNSC seat to them on a platter. Perhaps he could have given the PLA troops, while they were conquering Tibet, more rice and food supplies. Perhaps he could have asked the Congress Party to sign yet another MOU and take money from the Chinese into Rajiv Gandhi Foundation. And perhaps he could have had a weak policy wherein he said that not a blade of grass grows, so let Aksai Chin be given. And of course, the map was changed by the Congress Party. They attempted to change it even in POK. They certainly changed it in Kachativu. They changed it in Coco Islands. They've done a lot of map changing. I agree with that. But having said that, now let me come to a couple of things. The Guardian story deserves to be dismissed with the contempt that it demands, because it gets even the basic facts wrong, especially about one LET person being killed in Lahore, who happens to be an LET person who was arrested in New Delhi railway station and happens to be alive. Having said that, there are two aspects here. One unintended consequence of the so-called Guardian story is that it has re-established what has been the change in the template of response to terrorism. And Supriya would do well to remember that between 2004 to 14, Rampur, Jaipur, Bengaluru, Delhi, Ahmedabad, Delhi, Malegaon, Agartala, Mumbai 2611, Pune, Delhi 2011, Hyderabad, Bengaluru 2013, Bodh Gaya, Patna, Chennai, terrorist attacks took place there every second or third week. Today you have, yes, in certain areas of conflict, attacks are taking place, but left-wing extremism is down by 52%. The violence, deaths are down by 69%. The number of districts are down from 96 to 45. The fact is that today PFI, which they used to support in the form of Simi, is banned. Today the fact of the matter is that big terror attacks are down in Jammu Kashmir. Stone pelting after the abrogation of Article 370 is down by 95%. You have terror incidents which are down by over 50%. So these are facts that perhaps the Congress party will not digest. The template of response is, and let me just give you one example. Last example. After
quickly.
2611, just 10 seconds more. 2611, Mr. Fali Major, Air Chief Marshal Fali Major told Manmohan Singh, we can attack the camps. They gave most favored nation. Today, the template of response is Muhtod Jawab after the surgical strike or the Balakot airstrike, which the Congress party questions. And by the way, the Congress party has given a clean sheet to Pakistan on Pulwama.
Let me ask Sanjay Kulkarni, General Kulkarni, has anything changed? Has the template changed? Because Rajnath Singh says that ghar mein ghus ke marenge. The Prime Minister is also saying that. But all of this bravado seems to be reserved for Pakistan. What about China ke ghar mein ghus kar marenge? That doesn't seem to be the characterization or the words that any of these individuals use.
Zaka, what he probably meant was ghar mein ghus ke marenge was the reference to surgical strikes, thereafter the Balakot strike, because what happened after Pulwama and the way the Indians have reacted, I think that reaction has positively put Pakistan on a back foot. Pakistan dare not do anything mischievous as it was planning to do earlier, or even use terrorism as an instrument of state policy that blatantly as it was doing it earlier, because Pakistan has understood that India will react very hard should they do it. And what the Guardian report is totally different. If that was so, Pakistan would have said long back that Indians have done it, because on every platform Pakistan has been saying, would have said and used those platforms condemning it. They haven't done it at all. Indicative that it is Indians have not involved in the killings, and they are basically gang wars, sectarian killings, problems within themselves. You hear the Pakistan defense minister speak against Taliban and all that. Now when it comes to China, we've never been involving ourselves. Now even in reference to China, even if you were to take Eastern Ladakh, we have taken a firm stand. Where else? Where do you find anything like that? I don't think we've really stood our ground. We've been able to hold China to where it is, and that's one of the reasons why Chinese have not been able to do. Yes, we could have done much more, because 29 rounds of talks, WMCC, nothing much has happened. 21 rounds of talks other than a bit of disengagement. Yes, there are problems with China, but those remain a challenge. But that does not mean China can do what it wants to do. It understands that it cannot mess around with India. It cannot mess around with the Indian army.
Yeah, let me ask Professor Brahmachalani. So let's divide this into two parts. When it comes to the response against terrorism or terrorists, whether it is terrorists based in Pakistan, Khalistanis based in Canada or the United States, the template is the same as far as the Indian government is concerned. As Rajnath Singh put it, ghar mein ghus kar marenge. Of course, the MEA is officially denying it. Spokespeople like Shehzad Poonawala are denying it. That is the response to terrorism. But the response to organized state-sponsored encroachment or attempted encroachment is that we will push back this far and not so much more. Is that the template now, Professor Chalani, that when it's terrorism, we will go inside their house and we will hit them where it hurts them the most. But when it comes to organized state attempted encroachment, we will still, push back this much and not more.
The defense minister's statement should not obscure the gravity of what the Guardian has reported. The Guardian piece is based entirely on anonymous sources. It reads less like a journalistic news report and more like a hit piece. To be precise, it reads like a disinformation piece. It shows the Guardian newspaper in poor light, I'm afraid. And the piece is replete with factual errors. For example, it mentions Panun's death. Panun is alive in
US,
You know, he's alive. Not only is he alive, he's under the protection of US law enforcement agencies. It talks about Niger being a dissident. You know, the fact is that Niger is wanted in India for terrorist crimes, including a cinema bombing that killed a number of people. And there was a red corner notice against him by the Interpol. But the fact is that, you know, that, and I think one other point that I want to emphasize, it strains credulity that this New Delhi-based reporter of The Guardian spoke to Indian intelligence officers who incriminated their own intelligence agency in the cross-border killings. The whole piece is so amateurish, and we are giving so much importance to this kind of poor journalism. As I said, it's a hit piece.
No, if I may ask you, if as you say it's a hit job, what is the target of this hit job? And coming as it does a few weeks before the election, what's the attempted sort of intent here, if you will?
The attempt, of course, is to target India. As we have seen the Canadians do it, then the Americans did it, the British also are at it, that India is becoming, quote unquote, a rogue state that's carrying out extrajudicial killings on foreign soil. That's the message that is being sought to be conveyed. Unfortunately, what this does in the middle of an election season in India, and I'm not trying to wade into domestic politics, this is going to only help the BJP's election campaign because it presents the Modi government as strong on national security. Obviously, the Western intelligence agencies that are involved in this kind of targeting of India don't think through as to what they're doing. What are the implications of what they're doing? But obviously, we are seeing some interference in India's election process, and we're seeing several statements that have come out from Washington, including on this Citizenship Amendment Act, more recently on Kejriwal's arrest. These are statements that amount to interference in India's election process.
Let's for a moment leave aside, whatever the diplomatic fallout or the diplomatic ramifications are. I want to just deal with what could be the domestic fallout of this. And Supriya Srinath, we saw this in 2019 and we're seeing this again in 2024. That when it comes to matters of national security, the Modi government, for better or worse, has this perception that they are willing to go to great lengths to hit at India's enemies, whether they are in Pakistan or in Canada or the United States. And surely domestically, just before the election, that plays well into Mr. Modi's potential vote bank.
It's a preposterous question that doesn't deserve my answer because I have something else to say on this matter. The reality, Zaka, is that this evening, news reports emerged and NIA had to finally issue a statement on this, that indeed a leader of the BJP was taken into custody and questioned for the Rameshwaram blasts on the 1st of March in Bengaluru. Reports have also emerged that Talib Ali Shah, an LET operative, was the social media in charge of the Bharatiya Janata Party in Jammu and Kashmir. Mr. Sanjay Saroj, the person who just joined the BJP back in Uttar Pradesh, was arrested and behind bars for several months on charges of terror funding as far as the LET is concerned. So the BJP's nexus with people like that is for everybody to see. I do want to make a larger point here. Forget about domestic politics and forget about everything else. I think as far as national security is concerned, there can be no two ways about it. We have always stood with the government of the day and we always will. Because unlike Mr. Modi, our politics isn't petty, our politics isn't name calling. Our politics doesn't go all the way back to Nehru when you cannot manage things here. Our politics doesn't question Mrs. Gandhi, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, who is perhaps the bravest woman to have walked the face of this earth, who divided Pakistan, had the courage to do so with an army that was equally strong. And one last point that I want to make here. Pakistan, China, Afghanistan, we can keep talking about these things ad nauseum. A lot depends on what you have done. And on that, the question still remains. After the supreme sacrifices of our forces in the Galwan Valley, some 20 rounds of talks with Corps Commander level. What has happened? Why have we not restored status quo ante April 2020 in Ladakh?
Okay.
Why is Ladakh internet suspended today? Why is Ladakh under imposition of Section 144?
You can say and do whatever you want against Pakistan, 20 plus rounds of talks after Galwan, and there's no resolution. Why aren't you going back to pre-2020 position as it existed?
Unlike Supriya, I won't run away from your question and go on to a rant, but I will answer that in the next 20 seconds. But first, let me call out Supriya's lies. She said that we stand with the government on national security. Surgical strike was announced not by the government, but by the DGMO. They said it is Khoon ki dalali. They asked for proof. Pulwama was replied with by Balakot airstrike. They said Chil Kauve mare the. Show us the proof, even though multiple armed forces organizations had put out the proof. In fact, even foreign publications had put it out. In fact, Pakistan's own people had claimed in the Assembly of Pakistan what kind of response they had got in the issue of Abhinandan, and that they were almost sweating, and therefore they returned Abhinandan because they could not see what kind of response would come from India. And these are all facts, but the Congress party, and even today, the brazenness with which Ms. Supriya Shinath lies. The NIA has clarified that there was never any arrest. It was a witness. Now they are jeopardizing the entire probe, trying to give it a Hindu terror spin by invoking that person. But today Parmeshwaran, their home minister, has said that we don't know who did Pulwama, giving Pakistan a clean sheet. They gave 2611 terrorists a clean sheet by saying it was a Hindu terror activity. They gave Samjhauta Blast terrorists a clean sheet by saying it was done by Hindu terrorists. These are people who played politics and put rajneeti over rashtraneeti, and they are coming here and lecturing us. Secondly, let me ask them. She said that we have now lost control over fingers, right? And this is my time, I'm just going to ask one question. Supriya, who is the Northern Army commander? Do you know the name of the Northern Army commander? You don't. So let me tell you.
No, one second. No, what has that got to do with anything?
I'll tell you why.
No, one second.
I'll tell you why.
What has that got to do with anything?
I will explain to you why. Because I want to call out her lies. Supriya Shinath, who doesn't know who has access to her account, is overriding the statement made by YK Joshi, who the Northern Army commander, and I'm quoting to you.
No, one second.
Let me quote to you what YK Joshi said.
Mr. Shehzad, YK Joshi was the Northern Army commander 2 years ago. He retired 2 years ago.
This is of 2020 you asked me.
So what is the point you're making?
I'm telling you the point. Now
you asked who is the Northern Army commander? Mr. Joshi has been retired for the last 2 years.
Sir,
you didn't say that when you asked the question.
1 second.
What is the point you're making?
I'm talking about.
No, what is the point you're making?
I'm making the point if you stop interrupting.
No, what is the point you're making?
Yes, I'll tell you.
Oh, okay. 1 second. Who is the current? No, 1 second. Who is the current Northern Army commander?
Are we talking about?
No, I'm asking you. Shehzad, I'm asking you. Since you asked the question, who is the current Northern Army commander? Who is the current Northern Army commander?
I'll tell you.
Who is it?
I'll tell you.
No, don't Google. Don't Google. No, don't Google. Shehzad, don't do this. No, don't do this.
Don't Google.
Don't Google. Don't Google.
I'll tell you why I said it.
I come back, viewers. Who the Northern Army commander is has no material reference to what has happened with China for the last 4 years. I don't know why he brought up that question. But anyway, go ahead.
You interrupted me.
No, go ahead.
We were talking in the context of 2020. I of course know it's Upendra Dwivedi today. I am talking about 2020. She said that we've lost control, and I am telling you the statement of YK Joshi. That was the statement which was on. The statement is very clearly that we have now pushed them back beyond finger 8, and the entire landform is ours. I was quoting 2020. Zaka, please don't try to portray that I did not know. She in fact Googled it right now, and she's quoting her sources. She doesn't know who accessed her account, and she's telling us that we've lost control over A or B. We have lost control over Aksai Chin because of her. We have lost control over Kacha Tibu because of the Congress.
Mr. Nehru gave away 65,000 square kilometers. What is the Congress party talking about? Mr. Modi losing territory to China.
One second.
Let her respond. Let her respond. You asked the question. No, 1 second.
10 seconds more.
Zaka, 1 second.
Because you interrupted me.
Let her respond. No. Let her respond. You asked a question. She didn't have the answer. I asked you a question. You didn't have the answer. Now you asked a question. Let her respond.
10 seconds more.
Okay, 10 seconds.
Zaka, you interrupted me on the question I asked, which was relevant about the Northern Army commander.
I still don't think it's relevant, but go ahead.
Yes, but you did not correct her and tell her that the BJP leader was not arrested in Rameshwaram blast case. That it was the NIA that put out a clarification that he was called, that there was a witness that he was asked. He was not even detained. But you did not correct her.
Okay.
You asked me who's the current army commander in Northern sector, but you did not call her lies out.
Let me put the facts. Let me put the facts, Shehzad Poonawala. I'm sorry. You know, you can do this. You can do this with other anchors, not with me, because I'm very, very solid with my facts.
But
the gentleman you are referring to, the gentleman, in fact, Supras Lies brought into the debate, was arrested by the Bengaluru police, not as an accused, but he was brought into the investigation as a witness. Okay, so let's leave that aside. I don't know why. I don't know why you're bringing the Rameswaram blast here. I don't know why she's also brought in the Rameswaram blast. But anyway, Supras Lies. Okay, go ahead. Yes, Mr. Parameshwara is the Home Minister of Karnataka, Congress ruled state. Supras Lies, please explain why the Home Minister of your state ruled by the Congress party is giving the clean chit to Pakistan of all countries when it comes to Pulwama. Please respond. Yes, Supras Lies.
The last thing that I have time for this evening, is an intemperate little boy having a meltdown on air because he quoted some wrong facts. I'm here to answer your question.
You owe the people of this country, forget about the boy or girl.
I'm not here to listen to people's tantrums.
Please respond. People of the country are watching. People of the country are watching, Supriya. You owe an answer to them, not to Shehzad or to me. Now go ahead.
I have been giving answers to each question of yours. Which question have I run away from?
The Parameshwara question. The Parameshwara question.
Shrieking and yelling and shouting.
The Parameshwara question.
I am answering that question for you.
Yes, please,
The reason why I brought this up is, very good, I am answering that question for you. The reason why I brought this up is because the BJP has a consistent link with people associated with terror. I also named two other people. Sanjay Saroj, wasn't he behind bars for several months on charges of terror funding the LET?
This is going to
Wasn't Talib Ali Shah the man who was arrested finally,
a
BJP social media in charge in Jammu and Kashmir? He was. So I am going to bring these things up. And it's important for people to know what the BJP does and what it doesn't do. Whether it's Andrea Abbasi, who was their face in Jammu and Kashmir for Beti Bachao Beti Padhao. 1 second, please.
What is any of this, Supras Lies, and I'm going to ask General Kulkarni and Professor Brahmacharani also this. What does any of this, I'll come to you, Shehzad, give me 1 second. What does any of this have to do with the fact that back in 2008, when Mumbai 2611 happened, Fali Major, who was then the air chief, said we have the capability to go across the border and hit Pakistan. And apparently at that time, the government of the day, led by Dr. Manmohan Singh, did not give the go-ahead. For whatever reason, I don't know what they doubted, whether it was capability or diplomatic fallout. I don't know what the reason was, why they didn't give the go-ahead. But the fact is, history will record this, that the go-ahead was not given to go inside Pakistan and hit Pakistan. And General Kulkarni was in service at that time. So maybe he knows a thing or two more than all of us on this panel.
I think you have answered the question.
No, let General Kulkarni answer, please.
I think you have answered
I will. No, 1 second. I'll come back. I will, Shehzad, but let General Kulkarni respond on the whole 2008 question, because that is the significant difference. The Modi government's contention is the response to terror is different because abhi hum ghar mein ghus ke mare hain. Whereas with the Manmohan Singh government or previous dispensations, they were always scared to cross the Rubicon, as it were. General Kulkarni.
Zaka, we are apolitical and we don't involve in what the political compulsions were then.
Sure.
But positively today, the difference is that the leadership is a little more being able to convey in no uncertain terms that should you mess around, we will strike back. And the services are always ready. The armed forces are always ready. Whatever the orders are given, they shall execute. At that point of time, the Air Chief Marshal did present a plan to say that, he could do. Well, whatever the political compulsions, I can't go into it. I don't know about it. And they've taken a stand based on that. So we'll leave it at that. Okay. But as regards I would just convey that General Dwivedi, of course, has moved from Northern Army and is now presently the Vice Chief of the Army Staff. And as regards the fingers are concerned, yes, we were patrolling up to finger 8 and Chinese were patrolling up to finger 4. Neither do we go up to finger 8, nor do the Chinese come to finger 4. So this is kind of an, the fallout of the talks that have taken place along the Pangan Lake.
Has that changed since 2020? The contention by the opposition is we used to go up to 8, they used to come up to 4. That's changed now. De facto, the land between 4 and 8 has become the de facto border. That is the contention the opposition is making.
No, it's not border, Zaka. It's not border.
De facto.
The entire land can be seen from our end. We have another end from which we can observe everything. Yes, only thing is we are not practically patrolling up to finger 8.
Okay.
And neither are the Chinese coming from finger 8 to finger 4. That's where it is. And therefore, I wouldn't even call it a no man's land, an agreement in which we would not go.
Shehzad,
then you can see, of course, I can see finger 8. They can also see.
Okay, Shehzad.
Now, thank you, Zaka, for
Why
giving me
will I
this
not be
opportunity.
allowed
Now,
to speak?
Zaka, please allow me my
Yeah, yeah,
opportunity.
yeah, yeah.
It
I'm
is
listening
only
to you.
fair.
I'm listening to you.
I may be an intemperate young boy, but unlike a frustrated person who tweets and posts and doesn't know who has posted from her account, it was a trap that I laid, and she said Upendra Dwivedi is the Northern Army commander. Now, Supriya Shinath, get your facts right. It is not Upendra, it is General Suchendra Kumar. So thank you for exposing your lies. And secondly, now Zaka, please tell her not to interrupt me. It is
I'll
only
give you a
fair
chance, Supriya.
that on
Let him
national
finish.
television,
Let him finish.
the
I'll come
Congress
to you,
party
yeah.
stands exposed. She fell into the trap. She thought she was right. She kept saying Upendra Dwivedi, which it is not. The point is, the reason I quoted that is that in 2020, the Northern Army commander, as has been quoted by General Kulkarni, said that we had the control over figure 8, but Ms. Supriya Shinath lied. She does not have the gumption to answer the statement by the Home Minister of Karnataka. She makes false accusations about BJP links with Talib Hussain, which have been completely debunked. She quoted wrongly about what the NIA has done vis-a-vis the person who has been called as a witness, not as an accused. But she doesn't tell us that why is it that her party leaders supported Afzal and Yaqub. Aslam Sheikh, a minister in the Maharashtra government, supported Yaqub, wrote a clemency letter for him. Lalu Prasad and Mulayam Singh Yadav both supported Simi and said that the ban on Simi was wrong. She does not tell us that how she took 2 days to condemn the support of SDPI for the Wayanad candidate Rahul Gandhi, and they called the army chief and the first CDS of this country, Sadak Ka Gunda. Supriya Shinath, the last thing I need lectures on from you is about national security. So keep your frustration to yourself and take it from a young, intemperate boy.
Supriya, respond.
She got the
Yeah,
Northern
let
Army
her
commander
respond.
wrong.
Let her respond.
How about that?
Let her respond.
Upendra Dwivedi, right?
Let her respond. Yes, ma'am.
You bloody fool! You named Upendra
Oh,
Dwivedi
come on,
right
come
after
on.
I
No,
did.
no, no,
That's
no,
your
no,
foolishness.
no.
So
No,
first
no,
of
no,
all,
no, nothing
don't call
personal.
me frustrated
Please,
and all that, you bloody fool.
Please.
Supriya,
Come on.
I don't
Supriya,
expect
you can do better than that.
She has
You can do
But
better
you
than
had
that.
everything personal.
You can do better than that. Come on, please. Not this intemperate language, please.
Zaka,
Yes.
Zaka, when he was calling me personal things, you had no issue.
No, no.
Suddenly you want to teach me a lesson on how
He
much
did
better
not.
than I am. Of course I'm better.
You are
Of course
free
I'm
to
better
attack
than
him, but
Of course I'm better than
not
anything that he can
personally,
ever
please.
produce.
No expletives, please. Go ahead.
I have a simple thing to say here. On this television show, I have a simple thing to ask. We've released our manifesto today. We have said what we want to say about the borders. We've said what we want to say about internal security. As a citizen of this country, forget about China, Pakistan, Afghanistan, our borders, everything.
Okay.
There is a state of this country called Manipur, which has been on the boil for the last 10 months. Pradhan Mantri Modi 56 इंच का सीना है ना, कब जाएंगे वहां पर? Not once has he visited Manipur. That's the reality. Not once has he named China. कोई घुसा हुआ नहीं है. That's exactly what the PLA quotes in all our commander level talks. The reality is that Mr. Modi has not been able to reply to any accusation of Satyapal Malik, a governor he had appointed, a BJP man who has said absolutely shocking things about Pulwama, about the farmer strike, everything. And last but not least, Mr. Modi gave up 10,000 acres of our land.
I have to give the final word to Professor Chalani. I'm wrapping up. No, Shehzad, I've given you more than enough time. No, sorry. Like I said, I do not encourage intemperate language on my show. Professor Chalani, to close out the debate. 10 years of the Modi government. What is their vote on account as far as national security is concerned? I have a minute to wrap up, please. Thank you.
I'll do that in a minute, Zaka. First, your debate was on the Guardian piece.
Yes, correct.
And the Guardian piece is not a politically partisan issue. It's an issue that raises serious concern because, as I said earlier, it reads like a disinformation piece. Now, the Modi government's 10-year record on national security is a mixed record because Modi became the prime minister without having exposure at the national level. He was the chief minister and overnight he became the prime minister. So the first few years of the government, it was a learning process for this government. But in the second term, we have seen clarity, a more resolute approach. So that having said, I think that India is in a very troubled neighborhood. India will continue to face serious national security challenges, including terrorism challenge, including the fact that China is an aggressive expansionist power, and the confrontation that we are seeing along the line of actual control with China, it's now about to complete 4 years, enter the 5th year. There are tens of thousands of troops involved on both sides, and I think we need a larger discussion on both China and on Pakistan.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much to all our guests, Shahzad, Supras Lies, Professor Chilani and General Kulkarni.